State law, judges cannot award permanent alimony in divorce cases.
TV 20 Capitol News Bureau reporter Cody Butler tells us what this means for people who are already getting those payments.
13% of marriages in Florida end in divorce, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Camille Fivish's marriage is one of those.
You know, it could be a court battle.
Fivish was married for 30 years before she split from her ex-husband 11 years ago and is getting permanent alimony.
I stayed home for 30 years raising kids and just taking care of everything. Very traditional marriage.
Until now, judges had 4 different options that they could use to award alimony in a divorce case. But now, permanent alimony is no longer an option.
It is the difference between literally eating, living. I rely 100% on that alimony. I mean, I have no other real income.
The law applies to new divorces. Any changes to divorce agreements must also follow the new law. Something Sonia Delgado might consider as she gets closer to retirement.
If a marriage doesn't last, why would the lifestyle and support last? The logic is it didn't work, so each part will need to do the best they can to be independent.
She's been paying alimony for the last 10 years. Delgado says her ex-husband was unemployed the last 5 years of their marriage and was awarded permanent alimony.
It hurts every time that I have to write that check, knowing that even in my case, I was even forced into marriage. So I shouldn't have even been married at all.
The new law also makes changes to duration and rehabilitative alimony eligibility. In Tallahassee, Cody Butler, TV 20 News.